Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. This is Freya, I'm Jason, and we're bringing you to... You're so snorty! We're bringing you today's video. She's crazy. She's crazy. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're just a small family channel. Oh my god, she's nuts. Me, fuzzy one, the wife. And we just love to read. We love to bring you guys books. We love to talk about books. And we would appreciate any support you guys might want to give us. Don't forget to check the links down below for links to today's books. Anything else applicable I can think of. Thank you, by the way, to our sponsors. And today, I want to talk about a series that I've talked about a few times and an author I've talked about a few times. I want to talk about Steven Erikson, and book 9 of the Malazan book of the Fallen series, the 10-book series that I've been reading with some friends. And just finished up book 9. This one, you guys should all know that I read a lot of books, but this one we're reading it in a group, so I kind of slow it down to stay right with everybody else. So book 9, Dust of Dreams. So I'm not going to talk about the usual 4 categories that I talk about. I'm just going to talk about the book as a whole, because I already hit the 4 categories way back when in book 1. Guys, Steven Erikson, he's going to go down as a modern master of fantasy. I mean, him, Brandon Sanderson. I mean, these are some of the guys that are coming up in the last decade and a half as the next great things, really, as far as fantasy goes. These guys are going to be legends. And the Malazan series very much is got a lot of potential to eventually be as big as your Lord of the Rings, your Wheel of Time, your Discworld, things along those lines. It's absolutely huge. Could the Malazan series be turned into say a movie? Probably not. Probably not. Even if you gave it the Lord of the Rings treatment and tried to make it multiple movies, no. In all honesty, reading these, in order to just make each book into one movie, you would have to eliminate so much that you would lose almost everything. Now, it could be turned into a miniseries. Actually, I wouldn't even say a miniseries. Each book would probably be a 24 episode season, each book. So it could be done, but it's going to be difficult. So this particular book, Erikson puts a forward in the book talking about how when he wrote the series, when he got to the end, his ending was too big. It was too big, so he basically split it into 2 books. His original concept, his original idea, would have been a 9-book series for the Book of the Fallen Malazan. But book 9 was so big that he ended up splitting it into 2, so that's why we get book 9 and then book 10, which is 10 being the final one of the series, which he also says is the reason why you notice that the pace is a little bit different. One of the things that was big with his first few books that really helped set the hook. The first book, a little bit slow, and then you get to the last 3 or 4 chapters, and holy cow, it's just an onslaught. It just never ends, and you cannot stop. You have to know what happens next. And that was kind of the theme for the first 4 or 5 books, where the first 75% of the book was a lot of build-up and a lot of side stories and side arcs, and then all of a sudden, in the last quarter of the book, the last 4 chapters or so, everything collided, and when it collided, it was explosive. Then some of his books started to get a lot faster, where it was just go craziness from the get-go. Book 9 kind of goes back to a little bit of that multiple storylines building towards this big convergence. Only it's supposed to be 2 books. So really book 9 is just the first half. So it does kind of start rolling a little bit near the end, gets a little more action, a little more excitable, but not as much as his other books. And he puts that in the foreword of, look, don't expect it to be super crazy, because this is the first half, which tells me that the final book is probably pretty balls to the wall. This one, a lot of like I said, different storylines. Some of our favorites come back. One of my favorites, the Benedict brothers from the Lether Empire, especially the new emperor. Him and Bug slash Mail, the Elder God, are absolutely hilarious. The dialogue that goes on between them, and the kind of hidden genius behind Teho, however it's pronounced. His brother Briss is interesting, but almost one dimensional in comparison to Tail and Bug. And then, of course, you've got your Malazans, your bridge burners, and your bone hunters, and especially the former bridge burners, Fiddler, Hedge, and then the newer bridge burners, the new bone hunters that are kind of almost turning into bridge burners by their own mentalities. They're awesome, and the dialogue there, the dialogue between the soldiers and just the interactions is just an absolute riot. Between the Marines, I should say. There's just an absolute riot. Sadly, like in a lot of the books, we do end up losing a character too. We do have some of our favorites that die. One of my favorites especially ends up, biting the dust. But as we've also learned in Malazan, dead is not necessarily dead. With your holes, with your warrens, your undead, it's possible to die and just be turned away at the gates to death. And what are you going to do? You're going to turn around, you're going to go somewhere else, and going to keep going. And we see that. We see that with some that die, some that don't die, some that should die, some that should have died, some that how did they not die. We do get a few hints of things to come and some of the convergences to come. One of the things that I really loved about the book, well, all the returning characters that I really enjoyed. One of the things that I thought was unfortunate was some of my favorite characters did not show up, and I'm desperately hoping that they show up in the next in the final book. Some of them obviously have parts to play in it, such as, say, Captain Parrot. Well, he's not a captain anymore, but he's the master of the deck. So while he didn't show up in this book, he's definitely going to have to show up in the next book. You can't really picture him not showing up. Same thing with Cutter and Sari. You have to believe that their story is not over yet. And since they didn't show up in this book, I assume I hope they're going to show up in the final book. Same thing with Caleb. Caleb and his cousin. We don't know exactly what happened or what's going to happen. We thought Caleb's story was over once, and he came back, and now I'd really like to know what happens. I'd really, really like to know what happens, and hopefully we see him in the 10th book and find out what's going on. We also don't see Carson Orlum. He doesn't show up at all. So, and as we know from previous books, he's got a major part to play. So I have to assume that he is going to show up. Now, some of these legendary characters these former gods and fallen ones and major powers, they're definitely looking like they're going to show. One of them did show up that was legendary and talked about and feared. Two of them actually showed up. And the elder gods are starting to get more active. Some of them are plotting one direction, some are plotting the other direction, some of them are just plotting against pretty much everyone, which is pretty amusing. But their plots are actually for humanity or for mortality. And we're also seeing a whole bunch of these elder races that are converging and showing up as well, both dead, alive. I mean, obviously humanity, but then we've got the Kachane Shemail. I don't know how these things are pronounced. The Imas, the Barghest, even the Fork-Rule of Sail are showing up. So Book 10 is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. I'm holding off on starting it, waiting for my friends to start it, but it's going to be absolutely insane. So if you guys have not checked out the Book of the Fallen, you need to. You got to. After you hit the like and subscribe buttons, check it out, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.